Hey everybody, what is going on? HexLex here. Got another Master Duel video for you, and it's Monday, which of course means it is time for another one of our weekly viewer specials. I imagine just about everybody watching knows the drill by now, but if you are new to the channel or just haven't seen one of the viewer special videos yet, let me tell you what's going on here. We are going to take a look at some replays from you all, the viewers. If you are interested in submitting some games for this series, you're going to want to head down to the description below. There you will see a link that is an invite to our Discord server, the HexLexPlex. Under the Master Duel section, there is a channel called Viewer Special Submissions. Main bit of info you're going to want to drop there is your 9-digit player ID. That way I can view your publicly saved replays. Please do make sure that your replays are set to public and that this number is entered correctly. Those are definitely the two things that stop me from watching replays more often than not, because I do go through the list fairly regularly. I would say I watch just about 90% of everything that comes through. Like I said, we do this every week, so you have plenty of opportunities to submit in that regard. Even if you don't get featured this week, there is always the next one. And if you want to do multiple different replays, that's totally fine with me. If you have 15 different replays, you can do 15 submissions. The only thing I ask is that you don't submit the same game just over and over and over again. But we don't really have issues with that, so I think that pretty much covers everything that we got here. So let's go into some of your games. Alright, our first game comes to us from Eightbots, aka Eurio. That's good, I love it. Alright, so for our first game we're going to take a look at here from Eightbots is going to be a Voiceless voice game. So this is a deck that I've talked about on recent tier lists as being quite good. In my opinion, one of the upper tier 2 decks currently in the format. But you don't see a ton of it on ladder. There's, I think, two reasons for that. One is that this deck is very pricey, especially if you are just trying to make it without the selection pack in the shop, which it's not been in there for quite some time. There is a lot of URs here. I don't think they've gotten a secret pack. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure they haven't. Even if they do, it is still quite a pricey deck, because you still need the URs for like Diviners and the what's the other random UR that you play in this deck? Oh, the Sorvis is a UR, that's right. But yeah, also just a deck that you don't see too often because, you know, even though it doesn't change a lot, it still is able to hold its own in the meta. But a lot of people, especially on ranked ladder, just tend to go for like the newest toys, right? And so a deck like Voiceless Voice that is kind of unchanged in how it plays for a few months is just going to kind of fall naturally out of favor. But still a very, very good deck, and I think we're going to see an example of that here today. Our opponent is going to be on a Blue Eyes deck. And as you can see here, this is going to be a 10-turn going second grind game. Very eager to see how this one ends up playing out. Yeah, Voiceless, I haven't played against even on ladder in forever. So, let alone seeing somebody playing with it. So yeah, I definitely want to give the deck a spotlight here. Alright, so we got a couple of pretty good hand traps in our hand. I got the Maxi and the Ash Blossom. They're going to normal summon Ether Barrel, setting the Drill Beam. We're holding the Ash Blossom, which I do like. You know, if you had, like, you know, maybe Valor plus Ash Blossom, you could see possibly, you know, using it there. But, yeah, we're waiting for the Blue Eyes cards here. Lordly Load is summoning out the Blue Eyes. It looks like this is probably going to be a Seal's Pass kind of a game. Nope, here is the Roar of the Blue Eyed, and we're using Ash Blossom on that. They're chaining a Primite Roar, which is completely fine because it doesn't special summon here. I don't know if our opponent necessarily realizes that or not, but yeah, we're able to stop that Blue Eyes from hitting the board, which means our opponent's only real option here is to go into the Hermetic Seal of the Heavenly Spheres. So that's pretty good, us not having to deal with a rank gate. I think we'd rather deal with the spheres for sure. Low's a pretty good top deck. We're going to go normal summon Low. Opponent's going to activate the Primite Roar in an attempt to banish our Low, and also firing off Max C as well. I'm not really sure why they bothered using Max C there, because Low does not special summon. Low simply places a continuous spell or trap card. Also, with the Primite Roar banishing the Low, that does reduce the odds of whether or not we're even able to summon again, you know, under the Max C. This is kind of one of those Max Cs I was talking about in my recent video, where I don't think this was good timing at all from this player here. They definitely should have waited, but we're fine with having this knowledge up front for sure. Pre-prep adds Sorvis and prayers here. We're going to use the Saphira effect in hand to dump the prayers and then get to add the Skull Guardian. Also getting to add effect monster Sorvis off the continuous spell here. Now it looks like we are going to go for the ritual summon here, using the Sorvis to summon out the Skull Guardian, giving our opponent exactly one draw as a result. Another great thing about Voiceless Voice is that it plays very well into both Maxi and Fuelos, especially Fuelos. You know, Voiceless Voice, by virtue of its natural combo line, will barely, if any at all, give any draws off Fuelos, and Maxi will be one, maybe two of that, right? So, alright, they're going Spheres F in order to summon, but we can also summon using the Ritual Spell F here, going for the Skull Guardian. Looks like our opponent's going to use Magnum Hut in order to try to find some Blue Eye stuff, or maybe an Ether Barrel for their follow-up turn. They're adding actually just Blue Eyes White Dragon. That's really interesting. I'm not quite sure why you'd want to add that to your hand, but that's fine. We'll definitely take that. Okay, Ether Barrel comes back to their hand. During the standby phase, they're going to set another Lordly Load. Lordly Load F, adding another Ether Barrel. So it looks like they're out of Primite Spell and Trap cards, because they've already used Roar, and I think Drill Beam is still, what, this one right here, right? Main phase 2 going into Spirit. Spirit F to add Mausoleum. But we're curious why they didn't do this during their main phase 1. But it's completely fine. I feel like our opponents are like all over the place with when they're using their stuff here. It's a little... I mean, if nothing else, it is making them more difficult to predict. Now, one of the big reasons they shouldn't have added that Blue Eyes is actually because of the Mausoleum they have set up on board here, right? Because now they're not really able to use that anymore. Although they don't really have access to Maiden White in general anyway. Yeah, it's not in their graveyard. Okay, so they made Tyrant Dragon, Lordly Load to bring back the Blue Eyes, and passing. Getting to find another barrier here. They didn't even get to reset Drill Beam there. That was just a matter of timing on their part. Like, if they had simply used Drill Beam while the Ether Barrel was still up, they could have reset it. That would have made a little bit more sense as far as, like, randomly banishing that barrier here. But again, we'll definitely take that. Either way, that is completely fine with us. Pre-prep adding back the barrier as well as Sorvis. Opponent's going to go for Majesty. We're chaining main deck Sorvis F. And I don't think Majesty actually targets, right? It does not, no. So, can't use Ritual Monster Sorvis in-hand effect against that. But, you know, we're still able to Spiritual Summon out our Skull Guardian with that Sorvis effect monster version that we bounce back to our hand via its effect. Now we have Skull Guardian plus Low. Things are looking really, really good for us here. We can walk over their Tyrant Dragon and also negate the effect that lets them reset Imperm. I was going to say they wouldn't be able to target it anyway, but they actually can, because I think it's the barrier that stops the targeting, right? Yes, yeah, barrier is what has the target protection, so... And we're going to finish off by linking into the Dynamundo, which of course during the opponent's turn will revive the Sorvis and allow us to get some more advantage here. Bringing back the Low F gets to activate the Radiance, so now we're basically in our same setup, and we can also pop some of their cards. They get to add back Ether Barrel, and potentially, yep, reset the Drill Beam, but that'll get negated by the Skull Guardian. And at this point, we're very much in control of the board state now. Denying them access to the Drill Beam there was pretty huge. They go for Wishes here, which lets them get Maiden and Ultimate Fusion. That's right, because they still haven't set up True Light yet, which is kind of wild. Although here and now, we have the ability to Radiance pop True Light. I'm pretty sure Radiance can pop any card, right? Yep, cards your opponent controls. So it definitely puts things a lot more in our favor. Is that a second Spheres as well? I think it is, yep. And yep, now we can simply pop their True Light, and there goes their board. Just as I was mentioning beforehand. Now we have definitely secured control of this game very effectively at this point. Yeah, even if that Blue Eyes was in attack mode, would still not be enough to power over our Skull Guardian. I was going to say battle, and then I said power instead, and I had to just run with it. Alright, we got the barrier for the blessing. Oh, yeah, and now we got, like, I feel like the blessing is such an interesting card in Voiceless Voice, because, like, this card by itself isn't really that scary, but if the Voiceless player has enough time to set up Blessing and start looping advantage that way, like, you know you're in deep. You know that you're probably just gonna lose. So, it's funny, I find the Blessing to be scary, not for what it inherently does, but for the implication of the game state of the Voiceless player who is comfortable establishing it. And this is another reason why I think Voiceless isn't quite as popular as a lot of other meta decks, is that it doesn't have as clear of a win condition, right? It is really more of a controlled deck. When I say as clear of a win condition, what I really mean is that there's not really a clean OTK line in a lot of Voiceless games. It does come down to controlling the opponent down with good resource management, which is a skill I often talk about, as I think it is the most underappreciated skill in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is, you know, everyone's all focused on how good of a board can you set up, right? But it's more than just setting up the board. You got to be able to use it well, too. And Voiceless is one of those decks that really pushes that skill to its limit. So, yeah, it's definitely something that I think more people should acknowledge. Control decks in general really value that skill. Lab, Sky Striker, Primite, Fiendsmith Control all really want you to be really good at how you use your disruptions, because it's not like other decks where, you know, you can fumble how well you use your disruptions and still just stop your opponent and then OTK them, right? You don't have that luxury a lot of the time. Yeah, even the Ultimate Spirit Dragon with its 4K defense is not any match for the 4100 attack of the Skull Guardian. And now we even get to use the Dogmatica Maximus to not only get advantage to the extra deck stuff we send, but also pick apart their extra deck as well, which in this kind of a game state is huge, right? Like, that actually really matters, having to send the extra, like, Bestial Dispater and stuff, because, you know, the longer the game gets drawn out, the more a deck like Blue Eyes is going to rely on those niche extra deck cards. But then when they're not there, well, obviously things are going to go bad for them. In a lot of ways, it almost looks like, you know, kind of playing with your food a little bit when it comes to these kind of control decks. But, I mean, this kind of playstyle really just does end up being necessary a lot of the time. Now here, as we're closing out on the game, we're now putting out so many bodies because we're so far ahead that now OTKing is looking like a more feasible option for us. But that's not something that, you know, Voiceless can often just pull out of nowhere. The multiple Skull Guardians for over 8k damage, right? A lot of the time it is going to only happen when you're this far ahead. Is that another True Light? That's not the same one, is it? Is this person actually on multiple True Light? No. No. Okay, yeah. That's what I thought. Okay, good. I was gonna say. Yeah, so as much as our opponent would like to try and struggle here, there's really just not going to be much they're able to do. Now we can Skull Guardian to negate and destroy the True Light. They have the Drill Beam. But they didn't even use it on the Skull Guardian. They used it on Blessing? Really? That's very surprising, but completely fine. I mean, even if they had to use it on Skull Guardian, we still have the other one, right? Like, yeah, at this point it's a matter of simply moving to battle phase and swinging in for lethal. Good stuff. Thank you, Eightbots. Love to see a deck like Voiceless, because it's not one that I'm going to be able to spring for anytime soon, at least until they get a selection pack. And it is one that is very relevant, even still in the current metagame. So thank you for the opportunity for us to get to see that in action. We do still, of course, have a couple more games. Let's check out the next one. Alright, our next game comes to us from Fridge. We'll take a look at the replays here. Fridge is playing Infernoid and says we can pick from any number of these replays. I think there's one Rescue Ace, one Tier Limit, and the other are Snake Eye. And these are all wins here too. So if you're interested in Infernoid, definitely would recommend checking out Fridge's profile here. They say the bottom two are some of the more exciting ones. So let's see here. We'll just check out this one here. Going second against Snake Eye. Breaking boards, setting up 10 to 11 disruptions. That all sounds about par for the course for Infernoid. That's what Fridge is saying that the deck is capable of. This deck is scary. Infernoid is one of those decks that literally ever since it came out, like, you know, Infernoid came out when I was still playing the physical TCG. And even though it was a rogue deck back then too, I was always terrified to sit across from Infernoid because it always felt like they could just do whatever they wanted once they got their mills going, and that I was just powerless to stop it. And that is often true a lot of the time still when I play against Infernoid. Alright, so here looks like our opponent is on Azamina Snake Eye in particular, leading with those Azamina plays. So even if we did have some hand traps here, there's not a lot we could really do in the face of them. Or in the face of our opponent's board here with them. But we got the triple tack, we got the triple tacked thrust, as well as Monster Gate Widow Anchor. So I'm feeling pretty good looking at a hand like this about what we're going to be able to do going second here, even into such a scary board. Well, I guess we'll see how scary the opponent's board ends up being. What did they lead with? They just led with Azamina stuff, right? Yeah, Deception. So if Deception was their only engine piece in their hand, they should still be able to end on Ilya Sylvia plus Appaloosa plus potentially Desiree or maybe Caesar instead. One of the two. On top of Flamberge IP with the Promethean Princess set up in the graveyard. So it'll be scary, again, if our opponent plays it optimally. Doesn't look like they're doing bad so far. Okay, Lucrio plus Ash. This should be, yep, Moon. They're going to keep that Oak around. Wait, no, they summoned that off of Flamberge, right? They already have Flamberge out? Yeah, they already got into Flamberge. Okay, never mind. Yeah, they have so many bodies here because they still haven't used that Snake Eyes Diabell Star either, and they probably won't even need to here. Going IP plus... I guess you would have to, right? Not necessarily, actually. I was going to say, going IP plus Engraver into the sequence is an interesting choice. I feel like maybe you could have saved the IP and gone into a 3-mat Apo a little more easily with that. But maybe not for whatever they're planning here. Okay, so here's... Oh, so is this just going to be 2-mat Apo, Desiree, Flamberge, IP? That's not that bad. Yep, because here's Snake Eyes Diabell Star. And then this is the Appaloosa. No, wait, they didn't negate. They're going into Sunlight Wolf. Okay. Adding back Hallowed as a mean. Oh, yeah, they never made Ilya Sylvia. What the heck? Whoa, 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 whoa. Where's Ilya Sylvia? Where's the Appaloosa? They could have ended on so much more, I feel like. Anyway. We still got our work cut out for us a little bit here. We do still have to play through the Flamberge plus Desiree. Looks like Flamberge is activating now to bring out the IP. So we're able to successfully bait that. Now we can go, yeah, Thrust, or Talent rather, to bait out the Desiree so that we can successfully Triple Tactics Thrust. I imagine we're probably getting Reasoning here? Maybe? I don't know if we need it actually though, because now that we have the Infernoid monster in play. Well, no, we needed to bait out IP into SP with this. Right. Oh, wait, no, they're going into Appaloosa now. That's wild, honestly. I can't imagine. I mean, I understand the thought process, but it's definitely better to have just made Appaloosa beforehand and then be able to go into SP. Especially if you already have Valor in hand. What the heck? That's kind of wild. Okay. We'll definitely take that, though. Alright, yep, here's the Monster Gate sending off our level 1 Infernoid, and this, I'm telling you, this is where things get really scary when you're sitting across from the Infernoid players when this is happening. the Monster Gate to mill like a ton of cards. Like what you really want for them to happen off a Monster Gate or a Reasoning for when you're playing against Infernoid is for them to hit the Decatron as like one of the first top cards of the deck. Because Decatron is the only thing that can be summoned off of the stuff like Reasoning and Monster Gate, and everything else is just going to get milled. Yeah. It's so terrifying. Even if my board looked like this, and I saw this happening, I would be terrified. I can't believe they haven't... I know they have used Ezra. Yeah, okay. That's right, they used it on, what was it? The Talent, yeah. Wow, that Decatron is really at the bottom, isn't it? Or Fairy Tale Snow, that could come up as well. Either way, it's pretty good for us. Another Effect Veiler from hand makes it even more baffling why you would go into format Appaloosa in just kind of a setup here. Yep, there goes Blackout Laughs. Now we don't have to worry about Appaloosa anymore. To be fair, that would have been true if we had summoned, or if they had summoned a Little Knight as well. We could have done it that way. They had so many negates and they still made a format Appo. That's wild to me. That's actual insanity to me. Also, our Infernoid Onochu is getting back. Oh, well, he would have gone to the graveyard either way because of the Promethean Princess, right? Getting to wipe the board there is always nice. And I'm just going to concede. We didn't even need to activate the thrust or continue comboing. That's so good. That's awesome. Thank you very much, Fridge, for that very, very cool Infernoid game. And again, if you're especially interested in Infernoid, tons of good replays there to check out. We got time for one more game. Let's finish off with that one. And our final game comes to us from Copernico. Copernico? Hopefully I said your name correctly. Who has a game, I think it's this one, yeah. So we're going to be on the Primite Bystial Fiendsmith control deck. Also playing the DPE engine, which I definitely should have considered for... Oh, no, we're not on Primite, sorry. Not on Primite. This is the Bystial Fiendsmith control with Cyber Skagit and then the DPE stuff. Gotcha. Yeah, there's no vanilla Destiny Hero monsters, are there? I was kind of thinking, oh, but Primite DPE, you could still do that with a vanilla Destiny Hero, but there's only vanilla E heroes, I think. Anyway, another very cool control deck in this metagame, and we're going to be going up against a Primite Blue Eyes player. If you can believe that people are playing this on ladder. But it sounds like, based on the description from the Discord message, that we're going to be seeing a lot of stuff that we're playing through here. Let me bring that up here. Getting Fuad, Drill Beamed, and Nibbed. Wow, brutal. Let's see how we do. Alright, turn one we opened with a bunch of Bystial stuff here. Got the Lubellion and the Regained. Can activate that. And then go for Saronir here, banishing Lubellion. Regained F puts back Lubellion, but they're going to go for an Ash Blossom to prevent that draw. It's interesting that they Ash there. I mean, I guess you see 40 cards, you can reasonably assume that it's probably not going to be something like Branded. But we do still get to go for the Lubellion here, thanks to that Tribute Summon over the Saronir into Baldrake. That'll set up the Branded Beast, and then now we can also summon Magnum Hut in order to get another search, as well as a Link Summon. We're going to get to link off into the Spheres. Oh no, we're going into Fiends to this stuff. Okay, yeah, for sure. Because we're on Necroquip. Yep. Necroquip Princess is so good. I can't even imagine once Lacrima the Crimson Tears comes out. How ridiculous Fiend. They're probably going to hit Fiendsmith before that comes out, right? Maybe, I don't know, actually. I could see that going either way. I could see them wanting to wait until Engraver's at 1 to release Lacrima the Crimson Tears, or I could see them keeping the Engraver at 2 and then just kind of milking that release a little bit. Yeah, so don't want to give them any more draws going into... Was that Fuelos or Max C? It was Fuelos. And here is that Drill Beam, revealing the Lordly Load, and that's going to negate and to banish the Regained. That's pretty brutal, honestly. The Regained, for especially with the kind of hand that we have, was actually pretty important to maintaining our advantage, and we didn't get any draws off of it. That was actually pretty rough, honestly. I mean, even draws aside, there's still the summons we never got either. I mean, yeah, either way, that was pretty rough. Okay, they're going Ether Barrel into the Spirit. Yep. And then Spirit for Mausoleum. And then let's see if they have Sage to keep comboing here. Okay, they must not, because they activated Lordly Load in order to summon the Blue Eyes. Alright, so we're using Branded Beast to pop the face-down Drill Beam, and then we can also use Druid Swarm to send the onboard Blue Eyes. Presumably that was to stop them from going into like a Spheres or something, but it looks like they have Jet Dragon anyway, which is not ideal for us. I think it's just battle. Yeah, that's not ideal, but I don't know. Yeah, I mean, we're looking like we're in a pretty rough spot. The only card in our hand is this Dasher. That doesn't really do a lot. They get to make Spheres anyway. We do have Branded Beast, but not a lot going on for us otherwise. Ooh, that Firewall Guardian was a very, very good top deck, though. To be fair, I feel like we had a couple, but... And we do still have the Engraver in the yard. We can use that to go into the Requiem here. It looks like we're using this to bait out the Spheres, which I'm very much a fan of doing in this situation, because we really need this Firewall Guardian to be able to go into plays here. Yeah, by using the Engraver here, we force them to activate the seals. Yeah, they're going to bounce the Engraver. Let's see what they summon off that. It's Magnum Hut, and then, yeah, Magnum Hut F. And actually, that works out for us, too, because we can use the in-hand effect of Engraver, too, going for Tract for an extra body if we need it. Okay, here's Link Disciple off the Firewall Guardian. Now Firewall Guardian's going to link off into Link Devotee. And then this is basically how you build a board with the Cyberse aspect of this deck. Here's that Nib, though, that was foretold in the beginning of the replay here. Nib coming down as we go into the, Disciple and Devotee. Although we do still get our tokens because the Nib does count as tributing. And now, since we still have those tokens, we can go into Link Karibo and continue to combo with our Fiendsmith's Tract. That's so good. That's so good. God, this Blue Eyes player had so much here and still was just not able to keep us down. That's awesome. Now Lurie plus the Nib token can go into the sequence. Sequence fusing into Desiree here. And we can even use Tracks to fuse yet again. I see. We're going to fuse Sequence plus Desiree into Lacrima. This triggers the Desiree effect to send the Nibiru to the graveyard. And we even get to put the Desiree back into the extra deck to still use it again later. And then Lacrima... Oh no, Lacrima's going to summon the Desiree, and we can still... I completely, misinterpreted that. That was really good, because we get the Desiree out anyway for the Omni-Negate effect. Main phase 2 we link, I'm assuming, into SP. Yep, SP can get a Banish, as well as a little bit of Burn from the Lacrima, making it even easier to win on the follow-up turn. Oh, we're still going. SP plus Link Karibo is going to go into the Vert. Oh, yeah, we're going to actually set up the DPE here. Yeah, between DPE and the Desiree, I can't imagine a world where they're able to push back from this point. Which is funny because I was just saying that earlier about our position in this duel, but how I wasn't sure how it was going to be possible for them to come back. And look at that, with Magnum Hut, they have to put back the Spheres that's in the graveyard. Such a desperate position our opponent's in now. It's just wild, the reversal that was able to be achieved here. Yeah, they can set a Lordly Load that literally doesn't matter. It's going to get rid of their Ether Barrel before they can link into a Blue Eyes, or a Spirit with Eyes of Blue, rather. And sure, they can use Lordly Load for Blue Eyes here, but now they can't use special summoned effects. And realizing they have nothing left to do, our opponent's going to concede. That's awesome. Great stuff, Copernico. Thank you very much for your submission, as well as everybody who submitted for this week. As always, as ever, we could not do the viewer special without you. So thank you very, very much. That is going to do it for now, though. I think for the time being, we're just going to move on to our outro. Hey everybody, Hexlex here. Thank you so very much for watching all the way to the very end of the video, which by the way is one of the best ways to support the channel. Speaking of supporting the channel, take a look at the names on screen. These are folks who have been so generous as to either join as a YouTube member or subscribe over on patreon.com/Hexlex to support. There's also perks for doing so. If you would like to see YouTube videos early, as well as some exclusive videos that get uploaded to YouTube, but for one reason or another I decide not to publish, definitely go ahead and hit that join button to see content early, as well as some exclusive content. If you're looking for more exclusive content, over on patreon.com, I upload exclusive videos that are not posted on YouTube just about every single day. Whether you choose to subscribe over on Patreon, join as a YouTube member, or simply continue to watch, your support is greatly appreciated. Thank you so very much. But for now, this is Hexlex. I am signing out, and I hope that you have a fantastic day.